Hello. Today we will discuss Calcutta Chromosome by Amitav Ghosh elaborately, and we will also touch upon the theme of silence and immortality. Chapter 1 of Calcutta Chromosome introduces the cyber-human interface. Eva is a supercomputer and she has a mind of her own. Antar, in New York's almost unoccupied apartment, works for the International Water Council and has work at home profile. He provides details to Eva during routine inventory. Eva carefully gathers and processes information, giving Antar a lot of time to move backward and forward in time. Antar is waiting for Tara, his acquaintance, to arrive for the dinner. An iCard gets Eva inquisitive and she asks Antar to provide him information. Antar identifies the iCard as belonging to LifeWatch, a data consultancy on epidemic, and asks Eva where the iCard originated. Eva finds out the origin to be Calcutta in India. Eva shows the holographic image of the man to whom the iCard belongs, and Antar remembers having seen the person somewhere. After some memory search, Antar remembers the man to be Murugan. Eva scans through the records and informs Antar that the person was missing since August 1995 and was last seen in Calcutta, India. The opening chapter introduces us to Antar, whose habit of getting lost in his thoughts allows Ghosh to integrate different settings like Egypt, New York, and Calcutta. Chapter 2 takes us to Calcutta of 1995, and we see Murugan, who is heading to the memorial of Dr. Ross, who found the cause of malaria. Because of the outside rain, Murugan rushes to an auditorium for shelter. He hears mysterious voices telling him that the streets of Calcutta has secrets and sustenance can only be found in silence. Murugan meets Urmila and Sonali there. The scene moves to New York, and Antar suspects gap in the findings of Dr. Ross, and it looks that Murugan had gone to Calcutta to discover more on Dr. Ross's discovery. This chapter joins the puzzle, and we find Murugan's meeting with two women and him hearing mysterious voices, and we find that these cannot be coincidental. Chapter 3. Antar remembers his previous meeting with Murugan when he was persuading him not to go to Calcutta, and Murugan telling him that he suspected gaps in the discovery by Dr. Ross. We then shift the scene to Calcutta and Urmila and Sonali talking about Fulboni and Roman. During the talk, we discover that Roman's hand is deformed. We are introduced to Lakshman, assistant of Dr. Ross, who pointed to a mosquito on a wall and changed the direction of Dr. Ross's investigations. In chapter 4, we again find Antar and Murugan talking about Lakshman and know that his name could have been Lakhan, and he also has a deformed hand without a thumb. This grows interesting as we know Roman also has a left hand without a thumb. We then know that Urmila and Sonali also are discussing about Lakhan. We find Murugan telling Antar that some people wanted Dr. Ross to work on a mutation of parasite, but they preferred not to tell him explicitly, but instead provided him hints. Murugan believes that this group of people is working on the concept of immortality. In chapter 5, we find Antar remembering messages left to him by Murugan long back. He had received those messages on his answering machine and comes to know that someone named Parley was working on parasite of malaria and thought that he would have met Lakhan. We see Murugan watching Fulboni on television, addressing a lady and appealing to her not to forget him and take him along. We find Antar being told by Eva that Parley had gone to Cunningham's lab and there he met Mangala, a sweeper woman. Mangala showed Parley evidences of parasites of malaria, and she gave him slides with the blood of infected pigeon she had killed and parley, leaving with an assistant boy who worked with Mangala. In chapter 6, we see Murugan being experimented upon in his dream, but we are not very sure whether that is a dream, as some evidences suggest that he might have actually been experimented on. We find Sonali entering a mansion in search of Roman, and she finds that some ritual is taking place there and incense stick is burning. She sees a woman performing some ritual on a body and calls it Lakhan, and she also wishes that things would go well for Lakhan this time. In chapter 7, we find Murugan and Urmila heading to PG hospital. The previous day, Urmila had bought fish wrapped in an old newspaper, and Murugan believes this newspaper has key report and was sent intentionally to Urmila by someone. In chapter 8, Murugan is still trying to connect information, and he believes that he is the one chosen to connect the dots by someone. Murugan draws a figure, and a girl playing outside the workshop is playing with a similar figure, and she informs him that that object is kept for the worship of Mangala Bibi, and she will enter a new body that day. In penultimate chapter, chapter 9, Urmila is seen asking Murugan about Lakshman or Lakhan, and he tells her that he is the one used by Mangala to push the experiment of Ross in correct direction. Murugan believes that Mangala is behind some larger goal, and Calcutta chromosome induced malarial parasite to cure syphilis and led to personality change. Murugan believes Mangala has been living since ages in one form or other. They also discuss about Lakhan and his left hand without a thumb. In the last chapter, we find Murugan, Urmila and Sonali coming to the apartment of Murugan owned by Mrs. Eretonian. We start suspecting that Mangala Bibi and Mrs. Eretonian are the same. She has left a note informing that she would be catching the train to Renupur. Fulbani also had been given the same note, and they all rush to catch a taxi. We end the novel with a holographic Murugan asking Anta to put the visual headgear to know more about him. When Anta wears the headgear, he sees Murugan in auditorium with Urmila and Sonali. Antar also feels Tara and others are telling him that he is not alone. The novel is very complicated as it keeps on moving forward and backward in time and in setting. Mangala and Lakhan seem to keep changing names, and all other characters are used to aid their larger goals. The novel brings silence as the central theme and communicates that to spell out something is to end it. Hindu scriptures also believe that in silence, Guru teaches and the Shishya learns in silence. Gurustu monam vyakhyanam shishyastu chinna sanshaya. Ghosh selects the theme of reincarnation, and the last one to go through this process is Antar himself. Ghosh seems to hint that subaltern group in India was the mastermind behind Dr. Ross's discovery, and their goal was not Nobel Prize or fame, but they had more knowledge than any Western person. Hindus in India believe in the reincarnation, and they believe in the immortality of soul. Krishna in Bhagavad Gita tells Arjun that there never was a time when he and Arjun and all those kings were not present, and there never would be a time when they all would not be present. As Mangala has been able to transfer personality traits from one body to another, likewise the journey of soul continues. The novel seems to hint that Western knowledge, symbolized by the supercomputer Eva is not as powerful as the practice of silence adopted by the Indian subalterns. Also, the fact that soul remains important and Mangala and Lakhan have been existing with different names challenges the Western notion of individualism. While it does this, the novel also abolishes the social and racial hierarchy. The supposed rulers or the superiors find themselves in marginal role. Mangala is not only a subaltern, being an Indian asserting supremacy over the colonial pride, but she also is from the lower caste, which again breaks another hierarchy within the social setup. And to complete this, she also is a woman. The novel is important as it debunks the Western superiority and intellectuality. Thank you.